it down and not get a strong shadow from the wall by leaning it forward. Now, she's looking up, smiling, looking up beautiful. What about adding, going to add Jordan in right over here? He's going to kick his left leg in between her legs. He's pushing her up on the wall. She's going to bring her hand around his head. Both hands. Can you pick the other one up and around? Lean forward, look down. The veil is covering the arm. His hands, we don't want him looking, we want to make that connection. They're right on the wall. Now watch. That's a full one. From here, we could change it and come in tight. Are my batteries dying on my mic? You hear that clicking? Yeah. Okay. Now her eyes. I got a quart in my chest here. 6 of them. Okay. From what we're doing here, watch how we change it and adjust it just by bringing her eyes up. See the difference? Now from here, I'm going to turn her in to the wall. And watch how we change it here. I'm turning her into the wall because I want to use the wall as a foreground. Take a look. I bring him in from behind her, hand to the shoulder, nose to the cheek, just like that, looking down. Now, I pull him out. But do you notice how I'm using the foreground? You want to switch it up? Look, someone wants my ass. He said it's spectacular. He said it's real and it's spectacular.
It's a jury cycle.
Good? I'm absolutely winning. Okay, here we go. So now we're into the wall. Take a look. We're using the wall as a foreground, thank you, and we're bringing it out, just like that. This is the same exact thing on a tree, but watch how I change the cropping to change it up. Do you notice how I keep setting up different croppings? Because I'm thinking about the album. I'm thinking about a beautiful album that I want to make and set up. So I'm using these pages because I want to create different things. When I'm shooting, I'm thinking about the album. Okay? We're making it simple. Same thing here. Would I ever be able to light this with a flash? Look at the depth to it. That's aperture priority 2.8, and I'm using the 14 to 24 with a little soft torchlight off to my left. I want you to notice that the right side of her face is in shadow. So the right side of her face being in shadow is ultimately creating the broad versus the short, and the short side is closer to the camera. Are we following? Do we have any questions before we move on in closing? None? Yes?
Why do you always shoot an aperture priority?
I almost always shoot an aperture priority, except when I'm using flash. You know, people ask me why I don't shoot in manual. You know, the main reason I don't shoot in manual is you would think if I'm leaving them in the same spot, the light wouldn't change, right? The fact is, though, the Earth is an ever-revolving light sphere. So I want to be exact on every image. So there I use Bay Photo, they're under strict instructions. Don't touch my images or you will die. Because I shoot them right. Everything is exposed perfectly because I'm always remetering in the eye. It's so quick and so easy, I'd rather keep it at 2.8. I could leave it at manual 2.8 and then adjust it manual, but that takes extra seconds. Seconds count when you're on a wedding. Yes? Well, was this shot at? It was shot about 3,200. I love shooting it by ISOs. People say all the time, don't you get green? If you shoot it right and light it correctly, you won't get green, I promise you. If you know how to shoot it. The young lady all the way in the back who I'm not going to hear.
Do you use the torchlight on your group photos at weddings?
I use the torchlight for everything. Less is more. Yes, sometimes too. Because remember, I don't want a light that's going to light everything up too heavy. I want to keep it soft. Okay? So I'm always at 2.8, sometimes 4. Yes?
What's your light? Where do you sell it?
Do we sell the light? It's outside the room, and at the end, I don't want to make it a sales pitch. One more question, but I promise you I'll give you a price. And don't, if you're leaving, you're missing out on the Nikon camera, the $1,000 gift stick from Bay Photo. my ass would stay planted for that seed.
No kidding.
Yes. Okay, very simple. Everybody asks all the time, do I recommend it for everybody? If we're doing a group photo and there's different levels of tiers, how am I having them when they pose? They're leaning forward, right? I'm underneath, so I know the camera height's here. It's higher, so I'm automatically thinned out. If I'm sitting in a chair, they're leaning over me. And guess what? I'm putting them on the same level. As long as you do it. Remember, your depth of field is determined not only by your aperture, by your proximity to the image as well. You could shoot at 1.4 and get a good amount of depth of field if you're further away from the image. So keep that in mind. Okay, so let's go into simple stuff. This is all easy. How do I do something like this? I just expose for the background. And what I'm doing is popping a little bit of light in behind them, whether it be an Icon speed light, or I pop the torch in if it's powerful enough, just to get that reflection in deep. Simple images and getting depth. So now let's talk about the winning images. Slide out, beautiful. Most people have no idea how to photograph a guy. Would you agree? Let me show you some of the classic guy alone poses. Here's the second one. Here's the third one. The fourth one. You know this one. The fifth one. They're not that good. How do you want a guy to look? The idea is to make a guy look strong, powerful. So come right over here, Jordan. We lean him against the wall. He crosses his feet, his backside on the wall, thumbs in the pocket, fingers out underneath the coat, leaning forward. Now, can you ruin this image? Look at his body position. Leaning forward, chin up. From just standing here like this, I'm going to create a whole bunch of images. So watch this. How do you ruin an image of a guy alone? Jordan, can you look at them and smile? Look at him, he looks like a fool. Does a guy ever want to be like this? Doesn't look real, does it? So watch. Strong, powerful. Camera height above eye level, 70 to 200. Take a look. Now, watch how I change it. Jordan, look down. Chin down. Turn your head to the right a little bit. Tilt your head to your right. I'm tilting his head to the low shoulder, basic pose. My camera's over here. Short side close to the camera. And I crop it off center. Changes the image. Now I move. I change my position to over here to get a perfect profile of him. Take a look. He hasn't moved at all yet, though, has he? Now look up at me again, Jordan. Turn your head a little bit to the left. Take a look right here. Tilt your head to your right. And I crop it off center. I got 4 images and I didn't even move them, did I?
It does. It looks a lot.
Now from here, watch what we do. Jordan, can you come right down here? You're going to hop down. I'm just going to have him stand in a spot lower than me. Turn towards me. And you're going to put your hands in your pocket. I'm going to go to my wide angle lens here. Usually my 14 to 24. Turn your body here. Turn your head to me. This is honestly, put your head to the right, the way I shoot it, because I'm shooting from dark into the light. How do you think the hairline and the backlight on look? Perfect. So here, shooting down, wide angle lens, take a look. Now, what I do is I put my second camera with my 85 1.4. I focus and cut his face in half. Take a look. Now, I come down to the same level with the 85 1.4. Turn your head a little bit that way. Tilt your head to the right, to the low shoulder, eyes off to the side. Now I come down to the ground with my 14 to 24, and remember I talked about blasting light? I'm literally going to put the torch light within a foot to 12 to 24 inches of his face at high power, because I want to overpower him and shoot up and get this. Now you're saying, how do I do that? Because I'm putting it in an open area where I could clone it out. I don't care how close it is. I just want to keep it open and look at the depth of the sky. That's a simple, strong image. What about this? It's just a guy. You just set him up walking. I look smart, right? Okay, look at the images. You'll know some of these. The one in the church. You all take images in the church, but usually the backgrounds are pitch black or discolored, right? Because you're A, putting too much flash, and B, you're not doing it softer. I'm sorry, you're not matching the light, so you're getting the discolorization. Take a look. Look at how I'm using the bench as the foreground to lead into him. Now from here, sitting on the steps, notice he's leaning forward, his hands are clasped, not covering his good. He looks strong. He looks powerful. All I'm using is a light here is that beautiful stained glass. It's that simple. You just saw 15 images of a guy alone. Not so bad, is it? Okay. Did anybody have any idea how many poses you've seen already? Believe it or not, you're over 180 poses. We're doing pretty good so far. Okay, so let's keep going. Now, let's talk about the bride. Every photographer wants to take an image of the bride alone. And they want to do it in the mirror, because those were the shots we've done for 100 years. But how can we make them look interesting? So let's pretend that this is the mirror right here. Her face is literally pressed up against the mirror, like this. Everybody understand that? So where I shoot it from is what matters. I'm going to use the mirror as a foreground. Again, 85 millimeter, 1.4, and now I change the crop again. Look at how different it becomes. It's the same image, isn't it? But by tilting the camera and changing the crop, didn't it make it look completely different?
Yeah.
Now watch when we grab different elements of the photo. That's not a mirror, that's a window. Now look what we do here. Grabbing the hand and the elements. And this leads me to bride alone, low posing. Come over here, beautiful. The idea when I get to a bride's house is I want to be able to go through it quick, because I want to get from point A to point B so I can get on to the next thing, and I want to keep her moving. The faster I move, she's never going to question. So watch. We start with a simple, kind of glamorous look. Notice where I curve the hand here. I bring the veil around the shoulders. Take a look. There's our image. Camera height above eye level. Look at the catch height. That's just a simple torchlight in the eyes. Now from here, I'm going to bring this here. I'm going to bring the hand here. Turn your head here. We're going to tilt the camera. Eyes are coming up here. Chin up a little bit. We're going to tilt the camera in the direction she's looking, which would be to her left. Beautiful and simple. From here, I'm going to bring this hand up. I'm going to bring the veil up around the face. Really easy. I'm cropping in super tight. If she doesn't have a veil, you'll see it. I would fill the area. Now she's smiling. Now she comes back to eyes with the camera. I tilt to the right this time, not the left. From here, I bring the veil over her face. She's going to hold the veil out. If she doesn't have a veil, we won't cover her. But look at how beautiful and soft that is. The veil becomes a beautiful Gaussian blur. 85, 1.4, torchlight to fill the eyes. Take a look. When we crop her off center and bring that eye down, it changes it completely, doesn't it? Now what about if I bring the eye up and crop the other way? Pretty nice, isn't it? From here, I turn her head to me, completely total profile. Her eyes come up, 70 to 200, cropping off to the side. Not so bad, right? Now from here, take a look at what we do. That's without the veil. Now, we use other things as foregrounds, like a chandelier or something like that. It's a beautiful flaming look to it, isn't it? From here, what I'm going to do is take her arms, and I'm going to cross them up here, bringing them here around the shoulder. Look at how beautiful and simple. Different. 1-4. Now, we go into the face, then we go into the hands. And then we have details, like the headpiece, the earring, the nose, the necklace. Then we focus on them. Now, what about that traditional boring bouquet image that Mom wants? You all know which one I'm talking about. We bring the hands up underneath, the bouquet underneath her chin. Take a look. Now, from here, we're going to bring it under the nose, but she smiles behind it because it raises her cheekbones. From here, we're going to turn her body a little bit, drop this down, and we're going to go into a traditional image. This is a seated image with her like this, her head turned to her right shoulder, riding into her face through the body.